Hello and welcome to our weather and wellness overview for Monday, June 16th, 2025. In today's video, we will be talking about thunderstorms, summer heat, and ongoing solar activity, which all have a potential to influence our health in body, mind, and spirit. Our health is our wealth and so much more. When I don't feel well, my mood, energy, productivity, everything just tanks and generally a feeling of no bueno, and we want to try and figure out how to manage that. For myself, I want to live a life with energy and vitality every day and support others to do the same. So that's what we're going to do in this channel. I'm Sheila O'Connor. I'm a health coach and educator, and the whole purpose of this channel is to look at current weather in London and other locations around the world, and then discuss how to use diet and lifestyle to mitigate any effects that it might be having in our health that is going on to impact our life. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the current conditions in the data, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what we can do with each one of those. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're always going to start off with the biometeorological forecast for London, and that's just our first point to see what's going on. And I like to start there because this is about weather and wellness, and biometeorology is the study of the effects of weather on biology. So we'll see here that we have a meteorological sensitivity of 3 out of 5. And that is coming from the solar activity, from geomagnetic conditions, and also from the UV. And that is going to be repeated again tomorrow. Okay, that's what is going on right now. Let's look at another location. Here we are. Here we are in Oklahoma City. I'm focusing on Oklahoma City right now because as they move from spring into summer, they do have a lot of turbulent weather. So it's a good place to look at it. I also lived there for a while. I have family there. So let's have a look. Again, we have the geomagnetic conditions from solar activity and the UV the same, which is a 3 out of 5. If we look at tomorrow, we have a low pressure. So we already know about geomagnetic conditions. And now we're going to look at the low pressure for when we move on to the next step as well. Here we have Los Angeles. The UV index is very high there. We also, geomagnetic conditions are going to be the same everywhere in the world because that is the sun hitting the planet. And so that will be the same. And Los Angeles also having the high UV. Finally, let's look at Copenhagen. And it's pretty similar. So we're all dealing with a lot of similar situations. Okay, now that we've looked at the biometeorological conditions, we are going to look at the barometric pressure. All right, so this is for London for the previous 7 days and the next 7 days. So we kind of recovered from our original situation a couple of weeks ago, and now we are enjoying a nice high pressure. So that's a very good forecast for us here for the next week. In Oklahoma City, because remember that we saw they were going to have a barometric pressure situation. So if we look at the same time for Oklahoma City, it's in this normal range. It has been. And now, starting Tuesday night, so tomorrow night, just after midnight, there's going to be a big pressure drop, and it's going to reach its lowest in the middle of the night Wednesday. So in Oklahoma City, all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, the pressure is going to be dropping. So if you're feeling like, so we'll get to the point of that in a minute, but that is something to know that you're going to have these external influences of the barometric pressure dropping for those 2 days, and you're not going to get real relief until Wednesday afternoon when it starts moving into the normal range. And if you don't take care of this, it can take some time after the low pressure drop for your body to restabilize. And one more place we're going to look at Denver, Colorado. This 7-day graph is kind of all over the place because it's just been, they have a lot of different fluctuations because of the mountains and because of the season. And again, there was a barometric pressure drop indicated for them. And you can see here, let's see, when does that start? Well, the decline is going to start Thursday afternoon. So Thursday after lunch, and it's going to go all the way until basically Saturday night. It looks like, yeah, Saturday night is just going to drop, drop, drop. So Thursday afternoon till Sunday morning, and then again it'll recover, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that is definitely something to be paying attention to. And if you're in that area, just really quick, let's go back to the Oklahoma City one because we can go down here and look at the pressure, and that's pretty interesting. Let's see, let's zoom this. Oh gosh. Ah, gosh. Okay, so we can see Oklahoma City is right there in the middle. If we push play, so you're gonna, so here's Monday, and then we know the low pressure is coming. There it is. There's the low pressure. So see right there, and it's gonna just keep moving through the region. So if you're down here also in southern Colorado, you're gonna be affected by that as well. And you can see it's going to come right through the Oklahoma City Panhandle, and it's going to expand and split, and that's what happens. So there we go. Okay, and finally, we'll just look at the 10-day weather forecast for London. And mostly what we need to highlight here is that the temperatures are going to be pretty hot, even though that sounds exciting. There's also some things that we want to be doing to manage that heat, especially in England where most places don't have air conditioning. So let's go ahead and stop the share, and we're going to talk about um, what to do about all this stuff. And one thing that we didn't necessarily look at because it already happened, but it could come as an ongoing thing, are thunderstorms. And I know we had a lot of thunder and lightning storms in England, especially southeast England into France. I think they might have gotten them into Belgium. I know that the the plains and the Midwest got some thunderstorms. It's just that time of year from when spring is really moving into summer, there's a lot of unstable atmosphere. Now, I'm not here to talk about exactly the weather and exactly what you should do in a thunderstorm or tornado warning or all these different things. I'm really here to be talking about what it does to our body and our health, and really specific things that we can do with diet and lifestyle to manage that. So for all your other bigger weather stuff, that's where you're going to go and watch the meteorologist and all the experts on that. So we're just going to talk about our health because we want to feel good. We want to bring good vibes and not low, lousy vibes to whatever situation we're in our homes and in our communities. So thunderstorms, the biggest thing with thunderstorms is they can increase inflammation, and they can increase cardiovascular situations. Either way, you want to make sure you're getting enough rest and stay hydrated. Speaking of hydration, we are entering the season of summer heat, and different regions are going to have heat from time to time, from, in the next several weeks and coming months, because it's summer solstice, the days are long, we get more sunshine and we get more heat coming into the atmosphere. So a couple tricks. The biggest thing about summer heat is is needing to stay hydrated. But let's just go ahead. There's a lot of different things that can happen with the heat. You're losing, you're losing water and salt through sweating. You could get heat stroke if you get overheated, and you could also have, again, more cardiovascular strain, just like the thunderstorms. That's going to be true for most weather situations. And it can also affect concentration and memory because of inflammation increasing. It's really important in the heat to stay out of the exposed sunshine and just general heat. Stay inside. For those in England, it's an interesting situation because the weather can be so so gray and so not nice so much of the year that there's this tendency to just want to open up all the curtains and windows as soon as the weather gets nice. But we remember we wouldn't do that in the winter when it's cold outside. We wouldn't want all that cold air coming into our homes. So, nor do we want the hot air coming in. There is a sweet spot. It's really nice to have the windows open, but once the temperature is above 20, 22 degrees Celsius, the best thing to do is to close up all your curtains. So see, I have this nice like door here that I open fully in the morning. And then once the sun comes around, it comes into this window and the temperature increases, we close everything up so that that flat stays nice and comfortable. So the most important thing to do is to open the windows at night and through the night and then keep them in the morning. But as soon as you notice that the air coming in is warm instead of fresh, then you want to close everything down. The other thing that you might want to do is take a cold shower or a cool shower to cool down your body. And also getting wet really helps cool the body down, which is why we sweat as well. When having trouble sleeping at night, I do like to take a cool shower. Just makes my body feel fresh, and then I'm able to sleep a little bit better. And let's see. Finally, for hydration, you really need to stay hydrated. Now, one of the interesting things about hydration is that it can be a little bit misinterpreted, and that might just mean like, I just need to drink lots and lots of water. But that's not necessarily true because when we're sweating, we're also losing salts and minerals. So we need to replace those salt and minerals. If you just keep drinking water, you're actually flushing, just like tap water, for example. If you're just keep drinking, you know, liters of tap water that you're filling up from your sink, you're potentially flushing out more minerals and dehydrating yourself even more. So we want to add some salt to the water. So the easiest way to do that, and actually got a glass of water right here for us. So we have a glass of water. I just filled that up. The easiest thing to do, and I've got a little container of salt. This is a nice gray salt from France, salt gris. And so you can take whatever salt you want. There's lots of great salts out there. Celtic salt's really nice. Himalayan salt. There's different salts. So just go. There's some nice salts that come from volcanoes and stuff. So experiment with the salt and see what you like. But you just want to take a nice pinch of salt here and then just drop it into the water. That's it. And yeah, and then just drink that water and it should taste good. If you're one of those people that crave salty things, it could also be um, a message from your body about getting hydration. So adding that salt to your water. And then the other thing is I actually have a few things here that you could experiment with. I don't get any, I don't get any kickbacks for promoting any of these stuff. This is just some of the ones I like to use, and you can go and see what works for yourself. These are the Element little packets that are really popular in the US right now. I know they have some nice flavors. This is the citrus salt flavor. And these are just these nice little packets you put in your water bottle, sip on it throughout the day. And when it's hot, you might want to even use a couple packets a day. And especially when the barometric pressure is dropping, then you might want to add a few more electrolytes just to kind of get through that change in the atmospheric pressure. And then these are a couple that I like that are high in potassium. So there's different minerals that we are replacing and using to nourish our body. There's magnesium, potassium, calcium, phosphorus, and many more, but those are some of the main ones. This is Dr. Berg's. He likes to use a lot of potassium, which I think is pretty nice, especially potassium is especially important for cardiovascular health and also muscle muscle cramping. So different ones have a little bit of different things. And we're going to do a whole video on that, but for today, these are some other ones that are high in magnesium and potassium. And then these are kind of interesting, and these are really easy to get. These are unflavored. They're called fasting salts, and that's because that's who they market them to. But I find these to be a really nice blend of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. There is a little scoop inside here. Yeah, there's just a little scoop inside here. You can use half a scoop, a whole scoop, and then it's just like plain salt, but it's specifically mixed instead of the other salts. It's just one way to kind of experiment. These are really easy. Also, these noon hydration tablets, I really like these too, and they have some nice flavors. Again, I like things to be kind of easy. They're just these little capsules, and you pop them into your water bottle, and then they dissolve, add hydration. Let's see, what does this one have in it? Um, yeah, check the ingredients. They have different minerals. See which one you like. Your body, I know for those athletes out there, everyone sort of has their favorite because different ones are going to be um, reacting differently and helping each person differently. And then finally, this is super simple, but just some mineral water. Evian is my favorite. It does have a milky taste, and that's because of the magnesium in it, which is super nourishing. So in the heat, you want to make sure you stay hydrated, but also are replacing the minerals. Okay, so that's the main thing for the heat. And then the last thing I want to talk about today is the solar storms that we've been having and the general solar activity. And it's been on the news a lot because we're learning a lot more about the sun now, and it does affect our bodies. Now, the thing about that I want to talk about specifically with the solar activity is stress. Okay, so this because the stress is coming through, it's affecting our mood, it's even because it's geomagnetic, it's also affecting the earth, and it's affecting weather being more dramatic, earthquakes, storms, all that is somehow related, volcanoes, it's all related to the geomagnetic activity. And so we have the sun and that part, and then we have watching the news and the effects of it. And even if you think that you're not stressed right now, we're all under some kind of stress because there's just some instability and unpredictability of what is going on. Now, what stress does in our bodies is crazy. It it reallocates all of our systems. It shuts down good digestion. You can get headaches. The increased cortisol can cause weight gain and belly fat, and nobody wants that. It can mess with our memory and all this stuff. So, stress is something really important. So, I just want to highlight that if you're finding yourself stressed about all the things going on in the world and also the unpredictability of it all, take a minute for yourself. And the one thing that we're going to talk about today that you can do is called box breathing. And maybe you've heard of that. It's you kind of are breathing in a box in terms of what is a box? It's kind of equal on each side. So I like to do the 4-4-4-4 box breathing. So you're going to breathe in to the count of 4 and then hold for 4, breathe out for the count of 4, hold again, and then repeat that for 5 to 6 cycles. So let's go ahead and do one together. So go ahead and breathe in. Breathe out. And then repeat. So breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, and do 4 counts for each one. So I think that's about it for today. It was a little longer than I was planning, but that is what is going on. And finally, I'm going to end today. I'm going to share a quote because it's really important. We know a lot right now. We've all been educating ourselves on health, and I talk to people all the time they love to tell me what they know about about health or about what they read in the latest whatever. And um but it's one thing to know, but have you done the things? Like, do you really know how they work for yourself and actually happening? So they're very different things to just have an idea of what could and what's going on and what you read, but then really knowing that it works because you did it. That's very, very empowering. So the quote here is by a German writer, poet, novelist, and playwright, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And I'm sure there's a way to say that in German. So apologies to the German speakers out there. Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. So we know all the things. Now it's time to go out and do the things. So have a great week. Happy summer solstice. If I don't manage to get on before the weekend, stay hydrated, stay well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.